In this lesson, we're covering main point questions. These are the questions that ask you to identify the conclusion of the argument. I'm first going to teach you 3 ways to find the conclusion, and then we're also going to cover the strategies for this question type. First, let's go over how we can identify the main point question stem. Here are a few examples. Which one of the following most accurately expresses the main conclusion of the argument? The main point of the argument is that. Which one of the following most accurately expresses the conclusion of the argument above? In each question stem, they're asking either about the conclusion, the main point, and that's how you know it's a main point question type. There are 3 ways to find the conclusion. The first way is if you can spot the conclusion directly. We went over this earlier in the foundation lesson, so if you don't remember that, go ahead and review it. You can also use process of elimination. So we'll talk a little bit more about this strategy. And the last strategy, which I think is very advanced, but it's the best strategy overall, is called the Y test. So if there's no indicators at all or you're not sure, you can use the Y test to find the conclusion. Let's go over each strategy. The first strategy is if you spot a conclusion indicator, the sentence it introduces is the conclusion. Let's try an example. So let's read, coffee contains caffeine, therefore, drinking coffee late at night can make it harder to fall asleep. Therefore is a conclusion indicator, and what follows it is drinking coffee late at night can make it harder to fall asleep. So the conclusion is this part. Let's try out the next strategy, which is the process of elimination. Sometimes there is no conclusion indicator, but there is a premise indicator instead. So whatever it supports is the conclusion. So I'm not going to read the entire list, but go ahead and read it yourself and then proceed to the example we have. Let's take a look. You should bring an umbrella today. After all, the forecast is calling for heavy rain. So after all is an indicator word for premise. So meaning this part of the sentence is the premise. The forecast is calling for heavy rain. So you have to ask, well, what is it supporting? Well, it seems to be supporting that, because the forecast is calling for heavy rain, therefore you should bring an umbrella today. So the conclusion is this part.
The next strategy is the Y test. When there are no indicator words, this strategy really helps you figure out what the conclusion is. And I really want you to learn the strategy because this will help you get through some trickier LSAT questions. You ask because sentence A, therefore sentence B. If the logical flow makes sense, sentence B is the conclusion. If it doesn't, you flip it and try again. Let's go ahead and do an example. My dog went to obedience training school. She must be well trained. Now, there's no indicator words here for conclusion and premise, so let's try our Y test. So you take the first sentence and you say because, and then you put the next sentence in there for. So let's try because my dog went to obedience training school, therefore she must be well trained. See how that makes sense? There's a logical flow to this. Now let's flip it and see if that would have made sense. So let's put the second sentence in the because place and the first sentence in the therefore. Because she must be well trained, therefore my dog went to obedience training school. See how the logical flow doesn't make sense? That's how you know that this is the right flow. Now here's a strategy for main point question type. First, you want to find the main point using either a conclusion indicator, a process of elimination, or our game changer strategy, the Y test. Then you want to take a few seconds to put it into your own words without looking back. You want to say your noun, verb, and predicate clearly. Just doing this is going to help you a lot in attractive wrong answer choices and moving on. And then you want to find the answer choice that best captures the main point that you've stated.